All right, good morning. Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. Being a Wednesday, second day of October 2024. As I said, that a lot is happening in the country, and I really want us to take a look at what is happening in the political segment. Being a Wednesday, the viewpoint, and the Oster motion was officially tabled before the National Assembly. That one, in as far as the Deputy President regarding Gachagua's case is concerned, and now there is the political side to it, as well as the legal aspect. And today I want us to take a look at some of the options that are on the table and the political ramifications. Should he be impeached or not? Does it mean that the relationship is beyond redemption between him and the president, and even with the Kenyans, that is the voter? That is the biggest question that I want us to take a look. And of course, members of parliament, of course, have been given some, they're a bit cautious to comment on this because the motion has not been debated yet. So this is where we are today. And I'm joined in studio by Biko Ashoya. Biko Ashoya is an advocate of the High Court of the Republic of Kenya. I'm also joined by Wilson Sossion, who is a former nominated member of parliament, as well as Secretary General of NAT. As a member of parliament, he is well conversant with some of the standing orders in the National Assembly. And here we are. I'll also be joined shortly by Wanjiru Madai, who is also an advocate of the High Court. I just want to take a look at some of the issues that we have here. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right, let me start with the front page of the local dailies pretty fast before we get to the substantive discussion. Graft claims top list in Gachagua removal motion. Graft claims top list in Gachagua removal motion. The impeachment grounds are as follows. 1, inflammatory and insightful utterances. Number 2, undermining national unity, contradicting president on critical matters, public attack on judge, gross violation of the Constitution, abusive and insulting words. There is also a case of amassing questionable 5.2 billion shillings wealth, insubordination, undermining the president, again, bullying KEMSA officials, and finally, as illustrated by the Star, failing integrity test. One of the key backbones of the Constitution. All right, so who is this lawmaker? Mutuse, Mwingi West, member of parliament, who moved the motion. Lawmaker behind petition to kick out Deputy President Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. You can take a look at that, his profile. There are charges that claim the DP used 22 companies to allegedly launder money. Okay, very quickly. SHA's rocky start as hundreds of patients miss life-saving dialysis. There's also a case of woman dismissed as concubine wins right to bury her husband. All right, things happening. On the front page of the Standard, on his way out, that is the big question on the front page of the Standard newspaper. On the way out, that is it. The case of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's impeachment nightmare sprang to life yesterday after 291 members signed up to a historic motion to send him home on 10 grounds, which Kibwezi MP Mwengi Mutuse says will shock Kenyans even as lawmakers demand more security for Ruto and members of parliament. On his way out, that is a big cue here. On his way out, so there are 10 grounds, of which I've also given you on the other side of the Star newspaper. You can take a look at that story again on the front page of the Standard newspaper. Utterances that threaten to discriminate, undermine the president, undermining devolution, scathing public attacks on Lady Justice, violating oath of office. There is also a case of violating national cohesion and integration, another case of gross misconduct, amassing property, demeaned. That means that undermined and committed insubordination instead of assisting the president, and finally bullying. That one is as far as the Standard is concerned. Senator now files censure motion against President Ruto. All right? Interesting times in the country. So let me start with you. Wakili, once again, good morning.
Good morning.
A lot of things happening in the country. Basically, the 2 pages two papers speaking almost the same thing. You know, Graft claims top list in Gachagua removal motion on its way out. Also there. It's quite historical. Wakili.
Yeah, it is, because it is the first time that we're experiencing as a country such kind of a motion that is being presented before the National Assembly for purposes of removal of a deputy president by way of impeachment. It's never happened before. We, of course, have seen severally since the promulgation of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, the removal of both governor and deputy governor, and the same has always proceeded before the county assembly, and then thereafter forwarded to the Senate for purposes of debate, and then the final impeachment of governors and deputy governors. So just like you said, it's a first one. It will be interesting to see how things are going to unfold. Of course, we know for a fact that the motion has now been tabled before the National Assembly, and their timelines are very limited, whereupon they have to forward the said motion to the Senate for purposes of its consideration by the senators as to whether the grounds that have been preferred against the deputy president in the impeachment motion actually hold water or otherwise. So it's an interesting moment. We will be waiting to see how it unfolds. But what is most interesting to me is the timelines that the Constitution has given for this process to be undertaken. I'm waiting to see how how both houses are going to keep to the timelines. Yes.
2 weeks to be precise, maybe.
Yes.
So Sion, this is again, while you're sitting in the chambers then, let me start with this. This is quite historic. I mean, nobody ever, under the Constitution, members of Parliament sitting, and the number that were present was so huge yesterday. It was unusual.
Well, it's just about the matter of the profile of the impeachment in question, because it's involving the president, and for that matter, the deputy president. And you look at the signatures, about 292.
91.
291. Yeah. That is more than 2/3 of the National Assembly. And that means the central item for the next couple of days in the country is that impeachment in itself. But as been stated by the learned council here, it will have to go through the requisite legal process. Yes, many people have argued, oh, this is now political, legal. To me, my experience of working at the National Assembly is that when weighty matters of this nature, that is about the Constitution, then it strictly is prosecuted on the basis of facts of law and the Constitution. And that is how the Constitution was framed for that purpose. If you look at it, the president cannot fire the deputy president, unlike it was before. You can only remove somebody from office via impeachment. And so I expect that the process will meet the threshold of the requirements of the Constitution and the law, and purely on the basis of facts of law and the Constitution. There are 9 grounds, and that has been moved by Honorable Mutuse. And he will be granted an opportunity to prosecute those grounds. The public has been called out to also make their comments in light of the 9 grounds. In all the 47 counties I've seen, Parliament has advertised for the same. So really, it is the first time that a high-profile office is being subjected to impeachment. And for me, from the social justice world where I've operated for many years, and where Kenyans are grieving for good governance, I think impeachment is an instrument, is a tool that is used to strengthen governance, provided it's done within the laid down processes of the law and the Constitution, and on the basis of facts of law and the Constitution. If you look at it, Parliament will convert itself into a quasi-judicial process, where, of course, the substantive application, the substantive motion itself has been laid before the House. I believe the affected party will also be served, and it has been stated he has time to defend himself on Tuesday, and that means or can be represented by a lawyer, and we have seen this. It's not new. The great thing that I'm seeing is that Kenyans are becoming more conscious in the governance of their country, and if we want good governance of our country, we should not fear processes of impeachment and processes of recall, because they were not placed in the Constitution for window dressing. And this should not extend any form of sympathy to anyone. Once, if judges are leveled against you and you are innocent, you will be innocent in the end through the process. So I think without discussing the details, the merits and demerits of the grounds of accusation, let this process take its own life. Let National Assembly do its role. Let the Senate do their role. They will eventually vote on the various judges, and we'll get the outcome in the end. And if a person is not satisfied with the process, you can as well move the courts of law to further interpret, arbitrate, and give further directions on the same.
Let me bring in Wanjiru here. Wanjiru, good morning.
Morning to you.
Good to see you as well.
Likewise.
The case at hand, it's quite historical. I mean, I don't think if any of us ever expected this to happen.
Yes.
But the most interesting bit of it is that there's a very thin line between the political aspect and the legal aspect now. And everybody is talking about, I know Parliament will do its work, Senate will do its work, but then now, the courts are also waiting because they know that is the next step.
Yes.
We've seen governors who've been impeached, deputy governors who've been impeached, but they still got a lifeline from the courts.
Yes.
That brings the aspect of independence of the institutions. But before we even get there, how do you treat the whole of this, starting from yesterday?
I mean, I agree with my fellow panelists. This is a novel issue, not just in this country, but if you look at there's not much jurisprudence globally to guide the House as well as the courts on the deliberation of this issue, especially impeachment. Nevertheless, whether it was by default or by design, impeachment is as Sosion has indicated, a very necessary tool in improving the weaknesses of the leadership in this country. And we welcome it, whether Parliament had intended to do it by default or by design. And so, you know, what we are seeing is a situation where the Deputy President is now being called to answer to charges that have been leveled against him in regards to gross misconduct, in regards to gross violation of the Constitution, and in regards to commission of crimes under the national and international law. So it would appear that Parliament has actually preferred charges as underlined in the Constitution itself. What would be interesting is is whether Parliament will take into consideration jurisprudence that has been applied in other countries in guiding the process. And by Parliament, I mean the Senate, because Senate is the House that will be responsible in hearing the evidence and determining and upholding Parliament's impeachment.
Yes.
Nevertheless, I took some time to look at the grounds that have been put forward in the motion. And
10 of them.
For me, 10 of them, yes.
Yes.
But for me, I think what is of concern is the fact that some of those grounds are grounded on they are grounded on suspicions of commissions of crime, and they are grounded on threats of commissions of crime. Now, that is not what is envisaged under the Constitution. The Constitution is very categorical that you must have committed certain crimes, not threatened to commit certain crimes, or that there are suspicions that you have committed certain crimes. So again, I think it will be very interesting to see how Senate will treat these issues and how it will deliberate.
That's now where evidence come in.
Yes, that's where evidence come in, facts and evidence.
Okay, now that you've spoken, Wakili Biko, you know, now that we are here, there's that aspect of public participation that came out quite prominently in the National Assembly. And I'm so tempted to say that the Speaker was quite deliberate on allowing Parliament to undertake that process. Perhaps how important is this animal called public participation, that Wanjiku must be involved in the process of removal of Deputy President?
Public participation is very important. Remember that our members of Parliament, both in the National Assembly and in the Senate, are performing whatever roles that they are performing, the three cardinal functions that they are performing within that particular house as trustees of the people of Kenya. And if you look at Article 1 of the Constitution, it says that representation can either be done directly by the people or through their elected leaders. And so to the extent, actually there are two levels of public participation. To the extent that this motion has been subjected to the representative of the people is in and by itself public participation. But then now there is the other aspect where the general populace has to interrogate the issues, or rather the grounds that have been brought against against an elected leader. In the circumstances of the impeachment of a deputy president that was elected by all Kenyans, it is important that the voice of all Kenyans is heard in this process that is the impeachment of the deputy president. And so I am anticipating a scenario whereby, because it will be logistically be difficult for memoranda or views to be collected in the whole country within the time that has been, within the time that has been stipulated in the Constitution. What I'm envisaging is that we probably are going to have, a gazette notice go out, or a call for views from the public by way of advertisement in the national newspapers. Probably there'll be a website.
I think it's already out. So
yes, it's already there.
You can see it's already out.
Yes.
There are 47 forums across the county, across
Absolutely.
the country.
Yes.
And
So,
that gives opportunity to members of the different constituencies.
Very well.
Yes,
They are guided
so
on
he's
the
right.
right.
Yes. So, and I would want to presume that in the circumstances, so that we get feedback, quick feedback from the public, then probably email addresses will be provided, probably Google documents are going to be generated, so that then the views will be very shortest period of time, because remember, once this motion has been presented before the National Assembly, then within 2 days, this communication has to be done from by the Speaker of the National Assembly to the Speaker of the Senate. And by the time it is getting to the Senate, then there must be a document that is all-encompassing, that must have the views of the public, that must have the sentiments of whoever it is that has been accused in the motion of impeachment. We must have a document that is ready for debate. We must have a document that is ready to be considered by that particular house for the intended purpose of impeachment of a deputy president. So the timelines and situation whereby will will be moving with a lot of speed to ensure that it puts its house in order, because the aspect of public participation, just like you've rightfully said, is a very important aspect of this whole process, that is the impeachment of the Deputy President.
You know, actually, it's all on all the papers. That is a standard Daily Nation, the standard papers. Actually, it was gazetted. So I think Parliament is being very cautious on this, in as far as it's concerned. Yes, Osion.
Yeah, I think impeachment must meet the threshold of the law, even in terms of process. You cannot skip any step, because the moment you skip any step, then it falls short of what is required by law. So the public participation is a key component of governance provided for under Article 10 of the Constitution. And the Constitution does not specify which types of business, but all issues of governance must be subjected to public participation. Whereas the Constitution talks of the people exercising their power directly or indirectly through their elected representatives, there are circumstances where the elected representatives cannot conclusively conclude certain matters without returning it to the public. One such an item is impeachment of a deputy president, for that matter. And as you can see, the National Assembly, they've advertised in all the dailies. They've issued notices for public hearings with detailed guidelines, very extensive in all the print media. And there will be 47 venues in all the 47 counties, and covering all the constituencies where the public hearings will be conducted, and that is on the 4th of October. And also the website or the email has also been availed for those who want to write detailed memoranda. So in short, the people exercising their own power and their own authority in giving their views has been granted by the National Assembly. And that is one key requirement. And that then will form the basis of Parliament prosecuting the matter at the right time and allowing members of Parliament to vote. And at that time of voting, the voting will be informed by the findings, by the findings from the public participation process, and substantively the submissions of the motion mover. And that will guide the members of Parliament in deciding. So that the judges in this circumstance, the judges...
Let's take a break. According to Parliament, the threshold
granted to members of Parliament. 291
members out of 117.
That is in signing. The requirement was 117 for the motion to qualify to reach the floor of the House.
My point
to
is,
be entertained.
Yes,
but
what will form the threshold?
For the impeachment to carry at the National Assembly, it is 233 members of Parliament who must vote after hearing and after the process.
Let's take a break. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. But the question is, the threshold in the Parliament was met. What about the threshold in public participation? Okay, what will form the threshold?